Hi, friends. Welcome back to Unbutton this week. It's Elizabeth here. I am actually on my own today. Lauren's on vacation, and I thought this would be a fun opportunity to kind of walk through a few things that have been on my heart that I've been wanting to share with you guys. Really just kind of reflecting back on the past over 3 years, almost 3.5 years of building the brand that has become Coco the Shop. And just some things that I would love to share in terms of things that I've learned, but even more so, I think that the past few months have really opened my eyes to what a supportive and trusting community we've built over the years. While we've, grown this brand, we've also grown up, and it feels like you guys have kind of grown up with us together, especially those of you that have been here and have supported us from the very beginning. If you're new to Coco the Shop or to the podcast, welcome. I just wanted to share a couple of lessons that I've learned in leadership, in trust, in brand building, and honestly, even more so in my own personal growth. So the brand has grown so much in the past few years, but quite honestly, I feel like I have grown exponentially as a leader and as a business owner and just as a person. And so has every member of our team. Lauren, Tracy, Savannah, I love you guys. Shout out to the most amazing team in the entire world, the best team I could ever ask for. And if you've ever shopped with us, shared our content, or have just been rooting for us behind the scenes, this is for you and is so very much about you and how huge of a part you have been in the growth of this brand. One of the things that I never realized when I decided to become an entrepreneur and start my own business is how much personal growth would come from it. 3.5 years in, I feel like it most definitely has not been easy, but leading this business has made me a more resilient person. It's made me stronger. It's made me more brave. It's made me more confident, and not because of our wins, but more so from our mistakes and from the times we've fallen down, but we've learned from it and gotten back up. And if you're willing to get back up and you believe in something enough, I think there's just this massive confidence that comes from that challenge, because you're just forced to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's so true. You're pushed to embrace the times where you would rather just shrink and hide. And that's a really powerful growth experience. The start of 2025 has really pushed me as a leader and as a business owner more than any other time in the past. There's a lot of economic uncertainty with tariffs changing and the international trade war. And as a small business, every small business, I'm sure, is feeling that in some way. It has forced us to reevaluate everything. And while that sounds really scary, it is actually such an amazing opportunity when you are faced with these big challenges, because what we had to do is just reevaluate everything. We had this well-oiled machine, or so we thought, but these past few months we have realized that there are a lot of changes that we need to make to be more efficient and to be more profitable and to be able to show up for our customers in the most authentic and trusting way. We've had to rethink every aspect of our operations, from our buying to our receiving to the way we spend money. We've had to completely change our budget system and our finances. We've had to realign how we work as a team of 4 and shift roles and responsibilities around. And we've had to have some really tough conversations and make really, really hard decisions. And while that's never easy, and at times the pressure made me feel like I was going to just break, I didn't. And instead, it taught me so much, and it has taught our team and our business so much. It made me grow into a much stronger version of myself, a more grounded leader, a better communicator, and I'm so, so grateful for that. I really love the quote that says, "Your level of success will rarely exceed your level of personal development. You attract success by the person you become. And it's so true. If you aren't willing to evolve and change both personally and also within your business as the outside factors in the world change and your customer evolves, success is not going to follow you. I have the most incredible team who has carried this business beside me through the late nights, the stress, tears, the mental breakdowns, every shift in strategy, every bit of uncertainty. Lauren, Tracy, and Savannah. These women are so much more than a team. They are this brand. They've poured everything they have into this business with heart and soul. They've helped shape the leader that I've become and have pushed me to be better in so many ways that they might not even realize. They've also helped me understand that grace and grit can and should live together and should coexist. When you're going through hard times in business and you're having to reevaluate these things and having these really hard conversations, everybody is in a mode of let's turn this around, let's pivot, let's do this. It's change, and nobody likes change. But I think the most important thing when you're working on a team is that whenever there's a season of change, you have to give each other grace or the team's not going to stay strong. There's going to be resentment. And that is something that they have given me so deeply, is the grace and the time and the space to figure out what we need to do and then to lead with that in mind. I'll just never stop being so grateful for the three of them. And I read a quote recently that really embodies the way our team operates. It says, build a team so strong no one can point the leader out, because real leadership is not about barking orders or standing in the spotlight. It's about creating a culture where everyone moves with purpose, takes ownership, and shines in their own right. When the vision is clear and the standard is respected, the whole team carries the brand with pride. Egos kill progress. Alignment builds empires. You guys have helped me grow, and you've carried this brand through the tough seasons right alongside me, and I'm so grateful for you guys. I'm going to get emotional. This brand started with an idea and a bigger purpose, but it became what it is because of our team. And on the subject of not doing it alone, you guys, our community, you've cheered us on, you've been patient, you've given us grace. You're the reason we've made it this far, and you're the reason that we continue to show up through the hard seasons, through the good seasons. On the days where we don't feel like showing up, we think about you guys. And there's no better motivation than knowing that the people within the community you're showing up for are so genuine. You guys so authentically want us to succeed, and that's the most motivating thing in the world. And we're forever grateful for that. Every single day, we're so grateful for that. So going through this season has given me a lot of clarity, not just about where we're going, but how far we've come. And I wanted to share a few things that I've learned, not just about business, but about building something real. And trust me when I say I am not here to act like I have building a brand figured out. We're still so much in the beginning years of building this and learning so much every day. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm here to preach how to do this by any means, but I do think there are some things that I've learned. And this is for our community. And I know that that word is kind of like a buzzword, but I really do see our customers, and especially, those of you who take the time to listen to this podcast, this is for you because you've helped shape every single part of this. It feels like we've grown this together. And it's also for anybody who might be dreaming up something on their own and might need that little push to go for it. I hope it gives you some encouragement and at the very least a little clarity. So Coco started in a shed on my property. Lauren and I had met shortly before, and I had mentioned the dream of mine to have an online boutique, and she really gave me the push to go for it. And she walked through every step of the beginning with me. And we both had babies that were about 1 year old, had no retail experience. Lauren comes from a teaching background, and I come from an advertising and marketing background, but no experience in boutique world at all whatsoever. It was just the two of us with an idea and a whole lot of heart behind it. And from the beginning, we knew that we didn't want to just sell clothes. We wanted to create something bigger. We wanted to make women feel something and also provide a safe space and a place where we could find connection through the sometimes lonely journey of motherhood. One of the most important lessons that I have learned in branding is to figure out what problem you're solving and how do you want people to feel. So there has to be emotion behind what you're doing for people to connect to it. So for us, the feeling has always been confidence and connection. I always think of like the quiet power of being a little girl and putting on a dress and twirling around in the mirror, and just how over time as you get older, and because there's so many outside, societal pressures on us at all times between the media and social media and people that you meet and things that you hear, you start to criticize your reflection. And a lot of times it's not valid and it's not healthy. I think that we have always wanted to give women back that confidence of looking in the mirror and not nitpicking every single little thing apart, but just feeling empowered and feeling confident. And I think that there is a shift happening in our society where, a lot of us, I'm turning 35 next week. I think a lot of us around my age, the rise in like diet culture was at its height when we were like in high school and college. And I think that that was really detrimental to a lot of us. But I think we're seeing a shift in this focus more on your mental wellness and body positivity. And we are here to champion that in any and every way we can. So that's really the feeling and the emotion behind what we sell. It's so much more than clothes. It's breaking down that negative body image and this idea that you have to fit this mold that society tells you that you should fit in to be beautiful, because that's not the case. The next thing is that your customer, AKA you guys, you've got to get to know her like she's your best friend. And I know that we haven't had a chance to get personally close to each and every one of you, but we have invested so much time and energy into getting to know those of you that shop with us. And that doesn't mean that you're all exactly the same. Getting down to your life and your lifestyle and the things that we can relate to you on and the things that we know you might be experiencing, the insecurities you might be feeling, the amount of things you're trying to juggle, whether it be kids or a career or whatever it may be. I always joke that you've got to be borderline obsessed with your customer like a psycho ex-girlfriend, but in the best way, by figuring out everything that you can about her. Does she cuss? Is she part of the PTO? Is she a working mom? Is she a single mom? Is she married? Does she have a side hustle? How many kids does she have? Really trying to hone in on who your core customer is and make sure that you're speaking to her. You learn this over time by asking questions and by listening, because your customer is everything. You guys are everything. Literally, without you guys and without those of you who we have been able to connect with, we don't have a business. Another thing that I learned pretty early on is that you can't market to both a 35-year-old with kids and a full-time job and also market to your 70-year-old aunt that is a snowbird and doesn't have any kids at home and is retired. Tracy said one time, we can't sell crop tops in a nursing home, which is so true. I think the more all in you get on your customer and getting to know them and figuring out who that core customer is, the better. Another hard-earned truth is that you are not necessarily your customer, and you are not You alone are not your brand. I'm not this brand. This team is, and the people that make up our community and our vendors. As the brand, you're the storyteller. Your job is to zoom out, hold the vision, and protect the mission. And you're the foundation of the castle. So the castle protects your customer. And I know that sounds silly, but something that I held on to a while ago that my friend Josh Orr did a session on once when I was at a conference. I'll put his information in the show notes. He is amazing at helping boutiques with branding and with e-commerce. And if you're someone who wants to transition from a brick and mortar to the e-commerce space, he's wonderful and has so much good insight and advice. He was speaking one time and he introduced me to this idea that your brand is like a castle. And here's how he said to think about it. The foundation that your business is built on, that's your mission, your vision, and your values. The bricks are your operations. So your team, your finances, your systems, your inventory. But the treasure inside the castle that you're trying to protect is your customer. And on the outside of the foundation and on the perimeter of the castle, that's where the moat is. And the moat is your content and your customer retention strategy. So I've always kind of thought about things like that. And I think it's a great way to kind of think about the priorities when you are building a business. The priority for us has always been our customer, and we will protect that at all costs. I also have learned there are always a lot of conversations between, your margin and your numbers versus like your focus on what customer feedback is saying. And do you lean one way or the other? But I really think that that is not the way to think about things. I think that your focus and your attention being on your customer will inevitably result in revenue and sales. When you invest in that relationship, not just with your customer and your community, but also with your internal team, when you invest in those relationships, that's where the success comes. And just like any other relationship, you need to talk and listen and ask questions and reflect and adjust and pivot and show appreciation. When I tell you guys we read every DM, every email that we get from you guys, I am literally not exaggerating. We read them all. And I think sometimes people think that like we get so many that we don't see them all. Even if we don't respond right then in the moment, we read it and we talk about it at some point. And whether it be good feedback, happy feedback, or some sort of constructive criticism or something that we missed or a mistake we made, we read them and we share them with each other. And we take every little nugget from you guys and we apply it and we address it somehow. You might not see it happen right away. You might not see it at all, but I promise you we're listening and we are making shifts based on your feedback all the time. And then I also think that when it comes to content, over time, we have definitely realized that just sharing new product is not that exciting. And of course, new arrivals are exciting, especially when your brand is selling clothes. I love the analogy of thinking about like your kids waking up every morning and you have a new toy for them. Like eventually the novelty wears off because they just get used to it and it gets redundant. And I think that the same applies with your brand and how you show up customer facing. You have to build connection, not just clicks, because you're not going to build trust and loyalty without building that connection through your content. We see that our silly, goofy, ridiculous content that is not product focused at all almost always performs better than our content that's super focused on product, which is not a bad thing. We have to share our product to sell our product, obviously, but I think the lesson is that there has to be a balance. I like to think that there needs to be a balance of sales content, educational content, and entertainment content. And that's how we kind of connect with each other and connect with people on the other side of their screen. And when you make that connection, then when you share your new stuff, it feels like a girlfriend sharing it with you. And that's how we always want you guys to think of us, as your girlfriends that you're hanging out with, and we're picking out clothes for you. And we've got some options depending on your height and your body type and what you might feel good in. I think it's really interesting that this like faceless Instagram trend is happening. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there for a while I was seeing like a lot of emphasis on the fact that you can still build a brand without ever showing your face. And if you search it, you can find some examples. They're basically just really gorgeously curated feeds that don't show a person. It might show like someone's feet walking. It might show like the hint of a person, but there's not someone showing up to talk to you ever. And while I think that can work when it comes to some engagement and some follows, I really feel like if there's no emotional connection, it's going to be really hard for a customer to keep coming back and choose you over a brand that might sell something similar. I find myself shopping that way too. Like if a brand doesn't have a face, I might order from them once if I really like something, but there's not much there that's making me want to seek out their content and see what they're up to and see if they posted something funny or interesting or engaging or educational that could add value to my life. So back on the subject of trust and community, we've made mistakes many times. We've had delays. We have messed up your orders. We've had products that didn't perform the way that we thought they would. We've always shown up honestly, and we've always shared the truth with you guys, even though sometimes that's been hard because it's forced us to be vulnerable at times where it's been really difficult. But in return, you guys have stayed and you've supported us through some really hard valleys, but also have been there with us in the peaks. And, you guys have never just been a customer base to us, and I hope you guys can all feel that always. You've made this more than a brand. You've made it a shared story between all of us, and part of what has made that connection so strong with you guys is honesty and vulnerability and letting you guys in even when it's messy and we're not perfect and we're not like fucking killing it every single week, not just showing the wins, but showing the hard parts too. In business and in life, I've learned that vulnerability is what really builds real connection. It's what reminds us all that we're all human and we're all just figuring it out. And I never want to come across any other way than we are so human. We are so not perfect and we are so still figuring it all out. And when you're willing to show up as your whole self, not just the polished version, it gives others permission to do the same. And I hope you guys always feel that permission and always feel like Coco is a safe space for you. So what's ahead? Looking forward, we have a lot of exciting things coming, especially for like pre-fall time. But we're not just chasing the trends. As you guys know, we are so committed to building something that lasts, especially after the start of this year being challenging. And we're doing it for you. And I hope you guys always feel that. Thank you for growing with us and for cheering for us. And thank you for letting this brand become a part of your life. I hope you all continue to find Coco as a safe space to laugh, connect, find a cute outfit, and also find a sense of confidence. And I also hope you'll all continue to give us your honest feedback if you ever feel like we're veering astray from the path of relatability, honesty, and trust. To wrap this up, thank you for listening to me ramble on. This season did not break me, even though it was extremely hard. It really, truly built me and grew me in so many ways. And if anything, it has made me more confident than ever to continue to lead this business and to show up for you guys, our customers, and our community and what we consider friends, even if we've never met in person. We've grown through what we've gone through. And we're just getting started. And I'll leave you with the quote, the best brands aren't just built, they are felt. Thank you for listening this week. Please, please, please send me any feedback you might have on the format of this podcast, the things that I've shared. And again, I know I've said it a million times and not to beat a dead horse, but thank you guys so much for always showing up for us and for being the best community we could ever ask for. You guys are what it's all about, and we will continue to show up and get better every day, knowing that you guys are alongside for the ride. Talk to you next week.